My dear Bagginses and Buffins.
By the blood of our people, are your lands kept safe?
I see in your eyes the same fear that will take the heart of me.
So do all who live to see such times.
By all that you hold dear, this good earth.
There's some good in this world, and it's worth fighting.
Welcome back, everyone. Today we are talking about Rings of Power Season 1, Episode 7, the penultimate episode of the season. And while normally this would be the big climactic battle or something, we already had that. So now we are getting the aftermath of that situation. And here we go. Let's revisit this episode. It opens with... Okay, I will say, I wasn't amazed by the battle scenes in Episode 6. I do really think the visuals here are done well. And I've said this before from the previous episodes, but like some of the set designs and some of the cinematography is really nice. I think we're kind of spoiled in this day and age, and so sometimes we don't recognize it when we see it, but it is nice. I think they've done a good job with the visuals here, and also making it easy for more casual viewers to understand the reason behind, like, even if they don't get how, like, the magic behind how Mount Doom happened, because that's not fully explained. I've had issues with that. But, like, the reasoning of why one would want such a thing to happen. Why? Who would want to be in this foggy, reddish, hazy, misty setting? And it's the orcs, because they are allergic to the sunlight. So this allows them to be active during the day and not basically have to hide all day. So that's obvious for casual viewers, and I think they do a really good job showing that and setting that up. And since last episode didn't include some key characters, we're obviously going to get them this time around. And we jump back over with the Harfoots, and they kind of talk about. I mean, we see the destruction that a simple volcano miles and miles away can bring. I mean, look, I don't really like the Harfoots, as you guys all know, and I don't really like this scene as it is. I know why they did it. I just think it's dumb, and okay, like almost everything about the Harfoots I think is dumb. But then this ties into just like poor setup of moments. So the Harfoots are traveling to this specific area because it's the time of year where they go to this orchard type place and gather apples and have a big celebration. And the Mount Doom explosion, eruption, some of the fiery rock got sent all the way here, wherever they are. It's not clear how far away they are. That's not what I have the problem with. It's that it's like burned a couple of the trees, and even if it's burned most of the trees, like that would imply that they're quite close to it. I wish they had like established that a bit more, but how close the Harfoots are to Mount Doom. But so it's burned some of these trees, and now the stranger is going to try and like fix it, and so he does attempt to fix it, and that almost results in someone getting injured because they're stupid. So like, not only do I not like the Harfoots as a concept for the show, I don't like this scene because this is the problem I have with a lot of TV shows and movies. The setup for this scene sucks. and it's the same thing when Nori's dad hurt his foot. Sucks. They're trying to like build up the tension of what might happen, and while you're doing that, it's obvious that someone could just step in and move her out of the way, tell her not to stand so close to a burnt tree that might collapse on its own anyway. So, like, what I would have done is this. Here's how you set this up if you want the exact same situation to happen, because essentially the setup, what we're trying to build to is we got to kick the stranger out of this group. He's a danger to the Harfoots is what we want to establish. So if we're writing this episode and this part of the show, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to have a bunch of people kind of like scavenging the orchard looking for some apples or something that's like still okay to eat. And they're going to go up, whoever it is, if it's going to be Nori or the leader of the Harfoots or Nori's dad or whoever, is going to go up and talk to the stranger and ask him to try and help because they've seen his powers before, yada yada yada. The stranger then is not in some big show the way they do here, where it's all like, let's all gather around and watch him touch this tree and maybe he'll magic it back. No, it's going to be more secretive. People are going to be like doing stuff. Like I would imagine they still need to set up tents or something and like get going on. I know they don't have their food, but they still have to like make something to eat, and I'm assuming they're going to have some sort of perhaps more somber festivities, gatherings of that nature. Anyway, while they're doing their thing, the stranger's going to go and attempt to save this burnt tree. And he's going to put his hand up to it and start murmuring words and whatnot and all this stuff. And then, boom, this branch like snaps and someone yells, "Look out!" And then there's a like we see Nori or Nori's dad like dive and rescue Nori's sister, who almost gets hit by the branch. We didn't even know she was there. To me, that adds more tension to what comes next, which is, hey, you're a danger to us. We've seen you and how powerful you are, but you could really hurt someone. So that's how I think you handle that scene better. And I don't even like the Harfoots, but like, that's how I would have more dynamic tension and character motivation for why they're upset with him when they were stupid in how the show showed it. So that's that. I'm still not a fan of the Hobbits or the Harfoots. They have a moment where they talk about, they've heard stories of rock spitting fire, that kind of thing. That's a nice bit, because like the lore that they're trying to establish with these Harfoots is that they're a traveling that has these stories passed down, and they use stars to guide them throughout the course of a year, which I kind of like because it does tie into the elves and the Maiar and all the other stuff. So I do kind of like that aspect of the lore they've built for these guys. And they don't know where the stranger's stars are. They've not seen them, so they don't even know where to look for them. So they're going to send the stranger into a town of regular humans, and hopefully they'll have some more answers and that sort of thing. And then we get back to the aftermath of Mount Doom coming out of the ground, and we see the destruction of the immediate surroundings, and it's quite devastating. And we get to find that some characters are missing, certain other characters are pairing up with each other that you wouldn't expect and that kind of thing. To me, most of this is just okay. I know some people really thought that the Galadriel stuff was pretty good, and here's the thing. It's not terrible, but I struggle to say it's good because of the character that they've created, and that affects the way the dialogue comes across. So Galadriel is with Theo, and she's trying to impart a bit of wisdom that when you screw up and it's hurt some people, you can't just dwell on that fact alone. You have to learn from it, move on, and forgive yourself. And there are moments here where there's some good lines, like it gives place for evil to thrive inside us. Every war is fought without and within. They're good lines, but Galadriel hasn't learned these lessons herself. Her character's journey, she hasn't even accounted for the fact that she's a traitor in a way, right? So she was told that you are getting on this ship and getting out of here because you're a liability. And she disobeyed the king's orders there. She got mutinied on by her crew when they went north. She still has unfinished business. She wants to kill all orcs, as we saw in her genocide talk with Adar. She doesn't get to say these lines and have us say, oh, what an awesome insight. No, this character is struggling with this stuff herself, and this is why I didn't want her to be the one to save Adar from Halbrand back in episode 6. It doesn't make sense for her character. She hasn't established that she's growing at all yet. So, now we've got her and Theo, and to me, the way you do this one is you have them both kind of play on each other's darker emotions. Now they're both in it to win it against the orcs. They hate them. Like, now Theo hates them just as much as Galadriel, and they both just can't wait. But they know the numbers are against them, and we gotta regroup. And only once she gets back, eventually, to the group and finding Halbrand and finding the people of Numenor and the people of the Southlands together, only then can she start to relax a bit, and she wants to go back in there, but people talk her like something like that. No, now she's the voice of reason. When what happened that either changed her mind, or did she feel she had accomplished her vengeance? Because her character is supposed to be flawed, and I'm fine with that. But then can't have her turn over and say, now I've seen the error of my ways. And in fact, there's a scene also during here where she's talking to Theo, and he's asking, how do I live up to this? How do I follow your thoughts here and actually do it in practice? And to me, this is the perfect time to show that she doesn't know, and just have her say that I can't tell you or something like that. But no, she doesn't say anything. She has answers for her own questions, and it's just frustrating that this character is getting to play both sides. So in the end, we can say, oh, she was a genius elf all along, or something to that effect. And no, don't do that. Give her the proper flaws, the same way you gave Elrond, who is actually learning from his mistakes, becoming a better elf for it, and growing. his character growth is so much better than Galadriel. So, yeah, they really gotta fix these fluctuating character traits, their inconsistent motivation. And sure, the dialogue had some good points here, but you gave it to the wrong characters. Again, Elendil is not getting the lines he deserves. Elendil should have had a lot bigger role here, and I know some people already think he has too big a role. No. He needs more. I joke. I mean, it's not a real joke to me, but people see I'm joking about Waldrick because he's obviously not a main character. He's kind of a fun, you love to hate him type character. But Elendil is a big player here. He's the actor's great. He's doing a great job, and he's Isildur's father, and Isildur is troubled, and he hasn't even started to grow yet. He's still a rambunctious goof-off that just keeps bungling his way through life, and now he's stuck here and presumed dead. But we know he's not, and there's another problem. Like, we know Isildur's not. Of all the characters to fake death us, we know what this guy has to do. This guy's in the beginning, the prologue of every original trilogy movie. You can't trick us like this. So, yeah, not loving the setups that they're doing here. And then we get some more stuff with the dwarves, which I do like. And I'm glad we're starting to get more from the Dwarven King and these later, like the actual king, Durin the Third. So, okay. So this dwarf stuff, I just feel like they don't give it enough time. And we've talked about this before, like the time jumps, because they're basically jumping from Rivendell to Moria, back and forth, multiple times an episode. And then they're cutting to like moments that are happening back to back during like the fight scenes or during the Harfoots, and so it just doesn't make sense how much time has passed. They really should have worked out a more consistent schedule for their characters, the elves and the dwarves, to get them to not have to jump around. Like maybe have maybe one or two, and it'll be in between episodes, basically, where Elrond first goes to meet the dwarves, comes back an episode later, and then is with the elves planning out what to do. They reveal a lot more, and so it's not back and forth. Heck, maybe you can have one of them show up and do their meeting at with the dwarves, not in Linden. So yeah, I'm not happy with the time jumps there, but I do like the dwarf looks, and I love Durin the Third, the actor, and the delivery of these lines. This is like a proper Dwarven king. It's great, and very stern, and he almost talks like he's made of rock, and that's kind of the point. But like, it's such a good casting and delivery of lines. It's beautiful. And then obviously Legolas and Gimli are, I mean, we're basically seeing it in these two guys now. Like, they are quite close as friends, to the point that they almost view each other as family in a way. And I actually think, I mean, I know it's kind of rushed. Like I said, they time jump around a lot, and then they don't give the dwarves as much screen time as I think they deserve. Despite that, I think these two actors, just in their delivery and how they have changed their delivery and pacing of it over the course of these episodes, you've seen the growth in their friendship, which was in a bit of a rocky spot when they first were on screen together. for obvious reasons, and then after apologies and all sorts of talking, like they've grown much closer, and you do feel that in how they talk to each other in each subsequent scene. I love that. That's great stuff. I wish they get more of it, and I wish they focused a bit more on the dwarves, and just some of we get a little bit of dwarven society here. We get like some of the dwarf lords, and there's this thought like, oh, maybe with enough of the dwarf lords you can force the king's hand type of thing, which is very Game of Thronesy. I'm not saying they have to do this. I just wish we got more like insight into like what all this means. Like how is this dwarven society structured? Are there peasants, that kind of stuff? Because we see like these guards, and we know that Durin the Fourth is the prince, but we don't really see any like any help or like personal attendance with him. He kind of does a lot on his own. He actually does a lot of physical labor, it seems, in terms of digging and mining and stuff. So I wish we got a little bit more of that, but I know they want to throw in those Harfoots, and the Harfoots get a lot of screen time, at least earlier on in this season. But yeah, we get to meet up with Halbrand, and he's been injured, and again, like, is this is this the plan? I don't know. I like a fake injury or something, and then Galadriel will bring him to Linden. I mean, I don't know. This is where I got frustrated again with they did not think through the journey. Like Lord of the Rings takes place over 3 movies, and you feel the length of them. That's why the joke is they're always walking, because it feels lived in. The world feels big. Here, the dwarves and elves are jumping around, and like we're finding all these people that survived the craziness, and I don't know. I just like that. Now they're gonna go to Linden from here, and it's gonna be fine. I wish they took their time with it. And they know they have 5 seasons. I'm not saying I want this season to be longer, because this season is not their best work, I'm sure. But I just wish that they had thought through some of the plot details that inevitably come up in this, and they didn't like play it out in their heads. Like, so what are these dwarves and elves just hopping back and forth, and while that's taking weeks and weeks, like everything else is happening in real time. So when do we catch up? Like, we haven't stopped with like with the people of the Southlands. We've literally seen every moment of their journey since episode 1. Harfoots, you could argue we take a few days break or a week's break or whatever in between episodes. You could argue that because they're traveling, but you couldn't say that with the Southlands. Like that, we literally see every aspect of it, and so it's not clear how much time is passing between episodes with the other characters when Southlands is literally moment to moment. So they need to kind of tighten that up from a viewership perspective.